So this is day one. Engine breakdown, pulling the motor. I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of nervous. I've never done this shit before, but I'll show you what we got. But you gotta see all the interior pieces are there. The top is fucked, but I was gonna get a new top anyway. Body line straight all the way up and down the car. The only line that's not straight is this right here. See how tight this is? This line is not supposed to be this tight. Like I couldn't even see this line. This is a good line. It's a good little space. But then you get here and it's like it's right up against it. So that needs to be corrected. Tires, you know, they flat, they still good. A little rust. We got a little rust down there that could be fixed and repaired. A little rust right there on the skirt, and this whole back bottom is rusted. Other side's the same. Come to the front. Front grille perfectly straight, as you see. Does need some work though. Needs some stuff to be re-chromed. That bottom bumper needs to be taken off. Pretty much all this need to be re-chromed. But yeah, that's what we working with. First things first, I gotta get this engine out of here. So let me see what we can do with this engine. Woo. Engine still look good, a little dusty and crusty, still look good. Brake still good, all the hoses still look good. We just gotta get this thing revamped. And we running again. Probably get a new radiator though, cause look at this shit. This shit is all fucked up. New intercooler, new radiator. But that's coming. Hood off. When we remove the hood, there's a lot of hood insulation under the hood. And that hood insulation is mad heavy. I mean, this hood has to weigh about 300 pounds. Easy, maybe more. It took me and my friend, who are both well over 250, and go to the gym, like we working out. We were struggling to move this hood. This thing was super heavy. Put all the hood screws right there. Make sure I don't fucking forget.
Yep, I'm good.
Stand up tall as me. Oh, that hood tall as me. Just the hood.
Yeah. Shit, it's a super big body.
You ain't got your no drone, Mac?
Yeah, I got a drone.
For real?
Yeah, I don't know how to fly that mother.
I'm finna buy one last night. Nigga sold that shit, bro. It was just a Phantom 3. That's just one of the screens. I'm sick of this side.
After we removed the hood, we also removed the fan from the front of the engine. And it wasn't easy to get to. It's a tight space. It was about 4 bolts that we had to take off to get the fan to come off. But once we got the fan to come off, I put it to the side. And you know, this is another thing that I wasn't worried about damaging or being too rough on, because I know I'm going to replace it anyway. Why am I going to replace it? Because I want this car to be as fuel efficient as possible, even though it is a huge, old, big block motor. There are little things that you can do to help on the gas mileage. One of which is replacing the fan with a non-belt driven fan, because when you have a belt driven fan, your engine is using some of its power to turn that fan and to turn 4 or 5 other things, the AC pump, water, power. It's turning all type of stuff. So the more stuff that is connected to the engine that it has to turn, it drains horsepower and gas unnecessarily. When modern cars, their fans are electric. You just simply hook them to the battery, they spin on their own, you know, and it takes no power away from the engine. So since I knew I was going to upgrade to a more modern fan, I didn't, you know, once we took it off, trash. So there were a lot of hoses. In most old cars, just like any, there's a lot of hoses. There's the 3 hoses to the radiator. There's water pump hoses. There's just a lot of hoses that go to a lot of stuff. And in order to remove the engine, you gotta be able to get around a lot of these hoses. Some of these hoses have to come out, because if you try to pull the engine and they're not disconnected, they will hold your engine back. So you gotta remove all these hoses. So what we did, since I know I'm gonna get all new hoses, again, you gotta keep this stuff in mind. Don't do what I did if you're not going to replace and get new hoses. If you wanna reuse your old hoses, which I don't recommend, then don't do what I did. What I did was I took a handsaw and I literally cut through the hoses to save time on trying to undo these rusty brackets. So I cut through the hoses with a handsaw, which worked pretty well. When we cut a lot of the hoses, or when we disconnected some of the hoses, what I didn't know, which I should have used my common sense and I should have known, was that all the fluid connected to the hoses was gonna run out. So if you do this, you need to have some type of a pan, or my friend suggested, I don't know if you heard in the video, he suggested get some kitty litter, which is like this little solids type stuff you throw up under there and it soaks up water. But me just being kind of more of a neater guy, I would much have rather put a pan under there. That way I could pull it out and drain it somewhere, not like down the driveway, you know, because if you have pets or animals or small children, you don't want radiator fluid and antifreeze and all that stuff running freely down your driveway. We took that radiator off and put that radiator to the side, because again, that's another part that's going to be updated.
Watch your feet. Damn, I let you get mine.
Well, I was coming. You got them too anxious. I'm trying to set that camera up.
Right,
Yeah, that shit made a lot of space. The AC pump sits right on top of the intake manifold for the engine. And not only does it sit on top, but it's mounted to the intake manifold of the engine, which is not like regular old school engines. It's not like a big block Chevy or a small block Chevy where it's off to the side. So when we were unhooking it, I realized that if I change the air intake manifold on this Cadillac, I'm gonna have to do some type of bracket or some type of adjustment to get the AC pump relocated and out of the way. And also, the AC pump on this Cadillac was gigantic. It was big, it was big, but you know, that's how stuff was back in the day. So I know I'm gonna update it and get a much more efficient, smaller AC compressor. And I gotta figure something out about that bracket. So what we had to do was, we had to cut the belts off of all of the, you know, the belt system in the front, you know, cut it off of the AC, the power steering, we just cut it off. Now, there's a way to remove it. You could just take off one of the wheels that it's attached to, which will loosen it, and then you could just take off those belts. But I don't plan on reusing those belts, considering they're God knows how old. So since I know I'm gonna replace them, I didn't have a problem with just cutting them. You know what I'm saying?
Radiator out, it's over there. We've disconnected the exhaust manifold. Come on, focus. Disconnected the exhaust manifold on both sides. We disconnected this. This was sitting on top of the engine. It was locking it in place, so we folded it back. We got all our screws bagged up, labeled. That's how you stay organized. See? And any wires that we needed to be reconnected, what we did was, we didn't just loosen them up, we also labeled the wires. See? We put tape around them, labeled them. Now it's almost time. Tomorrow we do the motor mounts and we disconnect the trans from the engine. We disconnect the trans from the engine and we'll do the motor mounts. And that should be it. So stay tuned until next episode. We out.